Thanks for tuning in to the Urban Scope podcast. I'm back with more NCAA women's basketball news. Now, a topic I was thinking about over the last week or so is about the outlook for NCAA women's basketball and specifically South Carolina Gamecocks. Now, we know that they lost the championship last year to UConn, but will they be able to return to the greatness and hoist another title? And we know this season they'll have their hands full as competition only seems to be increasing in the NCAA, and there's a lot of different variables this year that they'll have to consider. Um, but they always have the depth in their teams, but we'll able to see the different competition they have. So, do you have South Carolina or do you have the field? That's going to be the question that pretty much should be around probably for the next 10, 20 years long as Coach Staley is there, or they have someone in great leadership like Coach Don Staley has possessed over the last decade or so. But I know South Carolina will be in the conversation for the Final Four, but will they be able to host that trophy is the biggest question, as I said previously. But they have a few roadblocks. First, talking about South Carolina versus the field. Let's go with South Carolina specifically. So first, the roadblocks they have. They lose Malaysia Fulwiley they to LSU, big loss there. Even though she was coming off the bench, but she was very vital to what they did offensively. They lose Tahina Pow and they lose Bree Hall and Sanaya Fagan all to the WNBA. Great leadership, contributors, um, experience, seniority. They lose all of that. But they do add Tanaya Latson from FSU, who was the leading scorer in the nation last year, and they add Medina Akot from Mississippi State. So they do get back some scoring and some defenders, but they do lose a lot. But I think they'll be able to compensate for the losses that they had with, especially with the leading scorer in the league last year in Tanaya Latson. So but they still will have to work on chemistry. But they do have returning Raven Johnson, the point guard, and Chloe Kitts, who's considered the power forward. So they do have that. Raven Johnson is very good defensively. She's a little offensively challenged, but defensive wise and commanding an offense, I think she'll do that at elite level. And if she can score anywhere from around 15 points, I think they'll be in good shape for this upcoming season because they'll need her more on the offensive end. But they do lose Ashlyn Watkins because she's going to be out, and this will be the second season she'll be out mostly. But she was important to what they did, rebounding wise, her freshman year, her ability to rebound and things like that. And she was coming off the bench, and she just provided energy that they needed. Unfortunately, they won't have her this year, so they'll definitely miss Ashlyn Watkins this year. So that is what they have to deal with internally. And of course, they got Coach Staley, so they're going to be good there from a leadership perspective and game planning. But when you go to the field, is where it gets interesting. So as far as the field goes, they'll have to deal with Texas and Madison Booker and Rory Harmon, elite point guard. You know, 1-2 punch. You want to say where they put Madison Booker at the three. She like I always talk about she's like the female Kevin Durant just because of her ability to be tall and be able to put the ball on the floor, be an elite shooter, just be an overall problem and matchup for teams. And then of course Rory Harmon with the command of the offense, her leadership, her experience. They're going to be a tough team to deal with. They will definitely be one of those elite Final Four teams. UCLA, we know the problem that they have with Lauren Betts and the bully she is in the paint, combined with Kiki Rice and others. So they're going to have that 1-2 punch going in UCLA. Notre Dame doesn't have a 1-2 punch as much, but you got to deal with Hannah Hidalgo, who loses a lot of players. So I don't know if Notre Dame will be a Sweet 16 team, but they do have a great coach. But at the same time, you lose a lot. You lose Olivia Miles to TCU. You leave Sonia Citron. You lost her to the WNBA, and you lost Matt Westbell as well to the WNBA. So they lost a lot. But Hannah Hidalgo, it's she can stand alone by herself, and she can still get them to the tournament. But it's just a matter of how far they can go, and if they go past the Sweet 16, that's definitely considered a win for them, and that coach should be considered coach of the year for that type of performance if she can do it. And of course, USC probably won't be much of a problem this year, unfortunately, because they lose Kiki Arifin to the WNBA. They lose most of the year, or if not all, Juju Watkins, the reigning NBA NCAA player of the year, women's player of the year. They lose her as well to injury for most of the year, if not all. So USC, I don't have them going too far this year without that. Of course, Tennessee's always going to have a good team, just from that pedigree that they have. And then just to talk about UConn, of course, the reigning champions, they lose a little bit, well, a lot as well, just by losing Paige Beckers to the WNBA, being the first pick in the draft, of course, in the WNBA. But they still have Aziza Fudd, and they still have Sarah Strong. So they're going to be okay, and I think I know they're going to make the tournament, and I have them going at least to the Elite Eight or maybe Final Four. But it's going to be difficult to replace what Paige Becker's brung, and just the sheer ability of how people were getting these easier shots because of her. But I do have them. Coach Gino Auriemma is considered the greatest coach of all time, regardless of whatever sport. So I have total confidence he can get them to the Elite Eight, possibly the Final Four. But if he can win another title with this roster, he would definitely be considered the greatest coach of all time, regardless of the sport. But the only issue I have with South Carolina, I'm going to pick South Carolina, but the only issue I have with them is the chemistry, and can they get that chemistry together in time for a tournament run? And we'll see what that possesses, probably, in a couple months here. So tell me what your thoughts about South Carolina versus the field, and who do you pick? And until next time, I'll see you next time.